They are shutting it down and issuing a report which committee Democrats have yet to see. It is, to say the least, White House friendly on allegations of Trump campaign collusion, even on the underlying question the U.S. intelligence community answered more than a year ago. Did Russians meddle in the 2016 election? If so, on whose orders and to whose benefit? Again, keeping them honest, America's top intelligence professionals have had no doubt on this for more than a year, as you know, and just moments ago reaffirmed it to CNN's Jim Sciutto. Here's a passage from a report issued by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence back in January of 2017. I want to read this word for word because it tends to get lost in all the claims and allegations in partisan politics. Quote, "We assess Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign in 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. Russia's goals were to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process, denigrate Secretary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency. We further assess Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump. We have high confidence in these judgments." Again, this was the intelligence community's assessment a year ago, and as we said, continues to be tonight. In fact, DNI spokesman Brian Hale telling our Jim Sciutto, quote, "The intelligence community stands by its January 2017 assessment, assessing Russian activities and intentions in recent U.S. elections. We will review the HPSCI report findings." So just let that sink in for a moment. The president's handpicked director of national intelligence still agrees with that 2017 assessment. However, as you'll see in the Intelligence Committee, Republicans don't buy the conclusion about who the Russian operation was designed to benefit. As you'll also see, they do buy into one of the president's key claims about Russian-provided help for Hillary Clinton, which is odd for a number of reasons, including the eagerness of Donald Trump Jr., Paul Manafort, and Jared Kushner to get Kremlin-provided dirt on Secretary Clinton, the DNC hack, and the leaks of hacked materials damaging to the Clinton campaign. Now, in addition, there's the committee chairman's record of carrying water for the administration and pretty much getting caught doing it. For that, I want to go back to March 22nd last year. Devin Nunes saying he had new and troubling information on allegedly improper surveillance tactics by the Obama administration against Team Trump.
What I've read seems to me to be some level of surveillance activity, perhaps legal, but I don't know that it's right, and I don't know that the American people would be comfortable with what I've read.
So that's Congressman Nunes, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Nunes, last March, having just rushed to the White House to allegedly brief the president on these allegedly disturbing details. But even from the start, the whole thing just seemed a little off. Here's Sean Spicer, the press secretary at the time, being asked about it the next day. The first question's a bit hard to hear in case you missed it. The reporter's asking, so would you rule out that the White House or anyone in the Trump administration gave Chairman Nunes that information?
Will you rule out that the White House or anyone in the Trump administration gave Chairman Nunes that information?
I don't know what he actually briefed the president on, but I don't know why he would come up to brief the president on something that we gave him.
Well, that's why it was confusing to many of us. So I was wondering, yeah.
I don't know that that makes sense. I did not sit on that briefing. I'm not. It just doesn't. So I don't know why he would brief the speaker, and then come down here to brief us on something that we would have briefed him on. It doesn't really seem to make a ton of sense. So I'm not aware of it, but it doesn't really pass the smell test.
Well, yes, there was a certain aroma to it, but it was quite real. As we learned just a few days later, that is what happened. Here's the headline. Nunes admits meeting with source of Trump's surveillance documents on White House grounds. Simply put, it seemed like a setup. He was play acting. There was no dramatic discovery that he had to take to the White House. The White House gave him the information that he then said he had to rush to the White House to deliver. Now, it might seem odd, but it actually happened, carried out by the head of the committee, Devin Nunes, who tonight is delivering an extremely favorable report regarding the Russian meddling in the 2016 election. More now on the decision to end the probe and what's in the GOP report. For that, we go to CNN's Manu Raju. So what do we know about, first of all, what's going to be in this report?
Well, Anderson, this is a 150-page classified report that Republicans have drafted that they plan to present to Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee tomorrow. Now, they have released one-page synopsis laying out some bullet points, and they also had some briefings with reporters. I spoke with Mike Conway, the Republican running the investigation, and the upshot is this. They do believe that Russians did meddle in the elections, but they believe that the evidence does not support what the intelligence community found in January of 2017, that the Russians tried to help Trump become president. And they say that there was no collusion between Trump associates and the Russians. And when I asked Mike Conaway about that, he said that any contacts that occurred between Russian officials and Trump officials were essentially inadvertent, at least inadvertent on the aspect from the Trump campaign side. They said they investigated all the key meetings that came about as part of their investigation, including that June 2016 Trump Tower meeting with Donald Trump Jr. and Russian officials, in which Donald Trump Jr. was initially promised dirt from the Russians. But Conaway said that there was nothing to that meeting. The person who set up that meeting, a concert promoter, someone who Conaway said was a exaggerator. They do not believe that they really showed any evidence of collusion. So suffice to say, Anderson, this report is going to be already being sharply contradicted by Democrats, but Republicans believe that they've essentially found no collusion. And a key point tonight, Anderson, the Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Richard Burr told me tonight he also has seen no evidence yet of collusion, and he does not believe there's any evidence that he has seen so far to substantiate that intelligence community's assessment from January 2017 that the Russians tried to help Trump, a sign that this investigation on both the House and the Senate side very well could be breaking down along party lines, Anderson.
And what about the Democrats on the committee? What are they saying tonight?
Well, they were blindsided by this. Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the committee, had actually not even spoken with Mike Conaway today as news. We were reporting this afternoon that they plan to end this investigation. They have not seen this report, but not surprisingly, Schiff reacting rather strongly to this decision to end the investigation. He says that the history is going to judge the Republicans very harshly for their decision to essentially cede oversight on this key issue. He said they decided not to investigate a number of key matters that are central to this investigation, refusing to issue subpoenas to go after, to get more information from people from Hope Hicks, the White House communications director, as well as Steve Bannon, who now Conaway said that he will not hold in contempt of Congress for refusing to answer questions. Also not getting information from people like Donald Trump Jr., who said some of his conversations were protected by attorney-client privilege. And Anderson, I did ask Mike Conaway, why are you not issuing subpoenas for some of these key documents as the Democrats have demanded? And he said this, he said, you can use subpoenas when you think you can actually get something from them. We're not too confident that the subpoena process would actually get us more information than we already have. So Republicans are content with the information that they have, but Democrats say that a lot of information that they have not yet explained.